Why your first $5,000 changes your brain about money. Look, let me paint a picture because I know this is going to sound painfully familiar. You check your bank app. Your balance is sitting at maybe $843. You're thinking, okay, if nothing goes wrong this month, I might actually save something. Then your car makes a noise, your phone screen cracks, your rent goes up, or your card gets declined for something that shouldn't be a big deal. And just like that, you're back at zero again. Here's the thing. It's not that you're bad with money. It's not that you're lazy. And it's definitely not that you don't make enough. What's actually happening is that your brain is operating in survival mode. And today, I want to explain why the moment you save your first $5,000, something fundamental changes in how you think, say, feel, and act around money, and why this milestone matters more than people realize. Because here's what most people don't realize. The first $5,000 doesn't just change your finances, it rewires your behavior. My name is Mark, and I spend way too much time thinking about money psychology and wealth building. If you're someone who feels stuck, living paycheck to paycheck, or saving feels impossible, no matter how hard you try, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Most people think money works like this. Once I make more, I'll feel more secure, but the data and real life shows the opposite. According to a 2023 Federal Reserve survey, nearly 63% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency without stress. Not because they're irresponsible, but because they've never crossed the threshold where money stops being reactive and starts being intentional. That threshold isn't $100,000. It's not $1 million. It's $5,000. And no one talks about it because it sounds small, but psychologically, it's massive. When your savings are low, your brain treats money like oxygen. You're not planning, you're reacting. Behavioral research from Princeton and Harvard shows that financial scarcity reduces cognitive capacity by up to 13 IQ points. That's the equivalent of pulling an all-nighter constantly. That's why people say, I know what I should do, I just don't do it. It's not discipline, it's bandwidth. Here's where $5,000 changes everything. Once you hit that number, something subtle happens. You pause before spending, not because you're suddenly responsible, but because you can afford to think. Let's say an unexpected $700 expense shows up. Before $5,000, that expense feels like a threat. Your heart rate spikes, you start rationalizing bad decisions. After $5,000, it's annoying, but it's not terrifying. And this is where it gets really interesting. The ability to pause is the foundation of wealth. Let's do some simple math. If you have $1,000 saved and a $600 emergency hits, you just lost 60% of your safety net. That feels catastrophic. But if you have $5,000 saved and that same $600 hits, you lost 12%. Same expense, completely different emotional response. That emotional difference is what changes your behavior. I've seen this play out dozens of times. Someone struggles for years hovering between $0 and $1,500 in savings. Every month feels fragile. Then slowly, they hit $5,000. And suddenly they stop impulse buying. They start thinking in months, not days. They're less desperate for quick money. They become more selective with opportunities. Nothing magical happened. They didn't become smarter. They became calmer. Now you might be thinking, Mark, $5,000 isn't even that much money anymore. You're right. From a purchasing power standpoint, it's not life-changing. From a behavioral standpoint, it's everything. Because wealth isn't built by income, it's built by decision quality over time, and $5,000 dramatically improves decision quality. Below $5,000, most decisions sound like this. Can I afford this right now? What if something goes wrong this month? I'll deal with future me later. After $5,000, the question becomes, is this worth it? Does this help or hurt future me? What's the opportunity cost? That's a completely different level of thinking. Here's a concept wealthy people understand early: optionality. Money isn't just for buying things, it buys choices. At $5,000, you unlock options like saying no to bad decisions, walking away from toxic situations, waiting instead of rushing, and investing instead of reacting. You don't need millions to start thinking like this. You need a buffer. According to Vanguard research, investors who avoid panic selling outperform emotional investors by up to 2 to 3% annually over decades. That difference doesn't come from intelligence, it comes from emotional distance, and emotional distance comes from financial buffers. Before $5,000, people chase risky trades, burn out side hustles, get-rich-quick schemes, and high-stress income moves. After $5,000, urgency drops. You stop asking, how do I make money fast? And start asking, how do I make money right? That's how long-term wealth starts. Think of money like sleep. When you're exhausted, you make terrible decisions. When you're rested, everything feels easier. $5,000 is financial sleep. It doesn't make life perfect, but it makes life manageable. Now let's talk about how to get there. First, make $5,000 the goal, not $1 million. Stop overwhelming yourself. Your only job is the first $5,000. Second, separate it from spending. Different account, no debit card. This money is psychological armor. Third, automate the boring part. Even $25 or $50 per paycheck matters. Consistency beats intensity. Fourth, protect it ruthlessly. This is not vacation money. This is not treat yourself money. This is your future thinking fund. Here's what most people don't realize. The first $5,000 is harder than the next $20,000 because after this milestone, you think better, plan better, invest smarter, and panic less. Money starts working with you, not against you. I know saving $5,000 feels impossible when you're starting, but every wealthy person you admire passed this exact point. Not because they were special, but because they stayed consistent long enough for their brain to change. And once that happens, everything gets easier. Not instantly, not magically, but sustainably. If this video helped shift how you think about money, subscribe to the channel. This is what we do here. Practical money thinking, real psychology, and long-term wealth building without hype. And if you want to take action today, start with one question. What's my next $500? That's how $5,000 begins. I'll see you in the next video.